Polar cold marks terminus. Escape, even by ocean, has its end. Our sun gone out, we stand, alone, benighted and unkinged. Better tend orchard than forever watch your back. Yet see, even the vulgar sparrow sits in someone's sights. In a trice, power slips the grasp. Armed men defile the grave. Now loyalty's exemplars all are dead. Tears cancel face. Give me a purebred from the riverlands. Let me traverse my range. Several channels tonight aired footage. Streets deserted, shuttered malls, rectangles of freshly turned earth are visible. Certain voices exist. It could not be confirmed whether an atrocity had in fact occurred. An unidentified vehicle is approaching. In answer, the child hears heaven is furnished with wonders never seen on earth, void of familiar vestiges. A sun that barks, fists of clenched water, blonde plaited hearts? No, all too stale. Absence of contestation. This is a reference to after the First World War, when the bones of men and horses killed in battle were ground down in mills and reimported to England to be used as fertilizer. Men's bones transit our ports, bushels in their millions from the mainland theatres, and bones of swift steeds too. Their grinders meet with ready engines to reduce unto a dusty state. Farmers anticipate fertility of fields. Folk songs from Hungarian. Let the Shrovetide come, let it bring warm weather. What weather? Summer weather. Rocking chair, billy goat, what's in the ground? Girls from the village, they all got drowned. Now they're kicking up the daisies, now they're clicking in the reeds. Let the corn grow thick, let the wheat succeed. Bring us out the head of a tic-tac Turk. How many burrows did the little rabbits dig? Pack the corn into the sack and make it big. We've run all the way and we want some bacon. Let the Shrovetide come, let it bring the summer sun. With her brother she walks in the garden. The river wind blows cold through them. When the river wind blows cold, be sure it weathers the weak, the river wind. Katie falls sick by the walnut trees, by the hazel trees, by the nut tree grove. Her mother asks her, where's the pain? Not my head, not my heart. My head doesn't hurt, my heart doesn't hurt. Mother, have my heart cut out, my calling heart, my joy. Have it cut out, pack it up in a case, and carry it safe to the shop. And when they ask you what you sell, say it's Katie's calling heart, her joy. This is a mock funeral song for a horse. Circumdaderunt megametus mortis, Dolores and Fergus circumdaderunt me. Why did you knock back brandy and camphor? Those two don't belong here, the curate and cantor. And the cantor intones. This poor God help us case, this unmarried misery choked on his cabbage and goes to his grave. His twins Charlie and Ger still run with the herd, so God bless his straw bed and the worms at his head. In the ditch beyond there's a dead nag now rotting, with a hole in his chest for the devil to hide in. Amen. Shackled ankle, fettered wrist, dark wares eyes waste. Glancing viper, spare me light, rattling irons ring my night. Four walls, firm friends, cold stone my bed. Hey Jack, how come I rot not you? You the horse thief, mine the grief. There are a lot in Hungarian, a lot of the folk songs, as with flamenco lyrics from Spain, from Andalusia, deal with their prisoner songs, basically. Heard of the famous county pen? I'm in cell block number 1. First by number, worst by name, may God afflict the architect. Crying mothers crowd the stone surrounds. Hush, my mother, this is fate. From each family one wretch falls. The peacock is merciful, screams on the stone. Bring us a sip to wet our lips. Convicts, convicts, on your knees, beg to God to be released. O Lord, sweet Lord, my God, when is my time to be reprieved? I'll be retrieved when a single grain yields up 100 sheaves of wheat. Examine your own features, your distinguishing characteristics. Are you so sleek? Pelt cannot remain intact, eye always bright. Living dims. Here we enhance the vestiges of animation. With wire and common glass, we mend broken beasts. Cut a god, the wound destroys the knife, slaves are easier. Simmered honey and red flour of copper smeared generously the green wound, discharge watery and thin. She died in the night. She was a barbarian. The crying goes on and on. It might be comforted by some attention, relief for hunger, thirst, the warmth, sense, sounds of a familiar body. For lack of these, uninterrupted, simply it continues on and on. First, the universal solvent was discovered. Not until a split second later did the search commence for the absolute container. Bottles, glasses, jugs, aluminium buckets, safes, cord cells dissolve. Degrading self-flesh tumbles through the distressed spaces. Dramatis personae. This hot, utterly jubilant baker, as I indicated, was investigating some bright yet sufficiently despondent nurse who without difficulty had solved a laughing but a bit inebriated carpenter's mega problem and self-destructed completely without any warning. "Oh, maid, childish smiling light of my life, that's quite enough, thou tepid artisan," though on the lamp still harking back, whereupon a slightly dim transient priest declaimed, "Fire of my loins, life-sized, exorbitantly plainful aviator of my passionate sky, I advance, a middle-aged, adequately screaming living man, occasionally frigid now and again, chatting a little. For example, oh, female, dark, strange, almost hidden entirely, somewhat minuscule girl pranking hither and yon, but at this point barely old. A boy begging familiar goods." The Peacock's Tale. This is in two parts, prose and verse. The verse written under constraint using a spreadsheet, what else? And the whole thing is reverse engineered from a closing line and a half from Fanny Howe, was the opening of a poem, so I put it at the end and interpreted it against the grain. So the Peacock's Tale for Fanny Howe. The costume of the people is so wretched that to a one who has not practiced such visitations, it is almost inconceivable. Shoes or stockings are seldom to be seen on children, and often not on grown persons, so yet they stand shod only in the plush of their red bogs, making unsteady verticals. The rags in which both men and women are clothed are so worn and complicated that it is hardly possible to imagine to what article of dress they originally belonged. Duds, threads, fatigues, and once fancy hand-me-downs step out in parallel, all swaddled in knots, bedizened in glad rags, wardrobes run down past the least coherence. It has been observed that these sheer beasts never dismantle themselves of their clothes when they go to bed, but the fact is that not only are they in general destitute of blankets, but if they once took off their clothes, it would be difficult to put them on again. Is not this a terrible way to be naked, wanting spread or comforter, however mute, to lie in envy of the gravel under grass? Thus, their habit is worn day and night till it literally falls to pieces, and even when first put on, it is usually cast off fragments, for there is not one subject out of 10 who ever gets a coat bespoke, but chaff away instead their little means at hazard, where at last, exposed by numbers and for lack of other stuff, they pawn the nails of their fingers and toes, which shirred and smooth and shaggy, even to their keldron emissaries. That's the way they walk in view, tender and fractious, unsheltered and exposed, while not yet wholly detached as the moth waits famished and the needle rusts. God, just think of all those pianos standing with their white tusks splayed in anticipation of toccata, so throw that foxtrot, glide your finery, and be glad to be in the first frush and you'll get by. Chaffer away as the Spitfire blooms run above you, and tash yourself, would you get up that stone like a bloody peacock. Get yourself into the swim, sure any animal is disfigured when disrobed of its hide, and cold too, as the motley sow remarked to a pharaoh. Unbrace yourself there in front of the warmth, let that uniform out a loop, and join us in the next trash laundered. The bunny hugs its burrow as the addict does his coupon. You can never have too much exposure, but I cannot lie, bleached once even into my livery, quite stem that old cash flow. I'd a damned sooner break into a pavan than go higgling with those demons. Let the cast of them go splat, and which of you with razor finger to get out? Climb past these unmentionables let you. The human is a thing who walks around disintegrating.